here this morning. There we are, and good to be with you today on this Friday, December 10th. And we've got an exciting day. We've got our church-wide Christmas party that'll be tonight, and look forward to that. Hopefully, you can make it and be a part of that. That's tonight at 6 o'clock, and look forward to it. All right, we are in Proverbs chapter number 7. Listen here. We've got December 10th. Which means there's 15 days until Christmas, or we could say 14 days, 14 hours, and 27 minutes until Christmas. But who's counting or keeping? It's coming quick. Hopefully you're ready for it, and I'm excited about it. Listen, there's so many things to be excited about in regards to Christmas, but for me, the exciting part is knowing that God loves me. And that gift that God has given to each to mankind, that gift of salvation, if we will but receive it. And I just love the Christmas season because it's a tremendous reminder of what God has done for me, what Jesus has done for me. And so, man, I hope you enjoy the Christmas season. Here we go. We're in Proverbs chapter number 7. This is this Proverbs is kind of a continuation of Proverbs chapter number 6, as it deals with the temptation of the strange woman and really the wiles of the strange woman and so on. And so we're going to, I don't know if we'll get into the whole chapter here because there's some good truth. There's some good words of warning here and some great things that we need to put into practice into our life. We're going to have victory over temptation as a whole. And then also if we're going to have victory over the temptation of the strange woman. And we'll look at that. I want us to look at verse number 5. So kind of where we left off here, verse number 5, where it says that they may keep thee from the strange woman, from the stranger which flattereth with her words. And this is a reference to the previous verses here where it talks about keeping the words of a father and then the commandments, keeping them with me, with each other or with yourself, and remembering those commandments, remembering the truth, the teaching from the word of God. And then it says to bind them upon thy fingertips, on thy fingers, write them upon the tables of thine heart. And so we see that digesting of the guidelines of the rules, and it's not just a mindlessly going about obeying guidelines and rules, but really internalizing them. Why do we have those rules in play? What are those rules there for? They're for our protection and so on. And we're not going to rehash that whole thing, which we talked about yesterday, the importance of having those guidelines in our life. And then you get to verse number 5. Here it is. Why should we heed the instruction that is given to us? One reason here, that they may keep thee from the strange woman, from the stranger which flattereth with her words. And now let's continue here. The importance of heeding instruction, the importance of having guidelines and rules in your life is to avoid the strange woman. Now, verse number 6. For at the window of my house, I looked through my casement, and this individual looking through the window of the house, the casement might be a form of window dressing, window covering, maybe some lattice, a blind, similar to a blind situation, kind of like what you see behind me here. It says, for at the window of my house I looked through my casement and beheld among the simple ones, I discerned among the youths a young man void of understanding. So the father here, who is imparting this wisdom here, says, hey, I was looking through my window, peering through the window, through the lattice, through the blinds, whatever might have been there. And he says, I saw a young man. And you look at what it describes him as in verse number 7, void of what? Void of understanding. Really, this goes... we could call this really a lack of wisdom and a lack of maybe a willingness to learn. And in our society today, in our young people today, in our church house today, there are too many individuals, there are too many Christians across the world that are void of understanding, They look at the guidelines in their life. They look at the rules in their life. They look at the authority figures in their life and they say, you know what? I'm going to do my own thing. I don't have to listen to you. Hey, no one tells me what to do. Listen, that's a dangerous place to be. You need to always be willing to learn, be willing to grow, and heed the instructions that are given to you. Hey, when the authority in your life gives you some guidelines, we're talking specifically like parental guidelines. Okay, it's important to learn from those things as we live our life, and there are reasons why. There are reasons why we have these guidelines in their life, and they're to protect us and keep us from things. You know, I was homeschooled in high school, and I'm to be honest with you, there were times when I struggled with it. There are times where, like, man, I would like to go to school. I'd like to go do things that the high schoolers do. Man, I'd love to go play sports. I'm not talking about doing anything bad, but my parents homeschooled me, and they saw the bigger picture. And now that I'm a parent, I look at my kids, and I'm not saying homeschooling is for everybody. Okay, so don't judge me there, but it's not for everybody. But I will say this: that my parents, they did that, and you know what? I didn't have to make many of the decisions that young people make today because I wasn't put in the position to make those decisions. I wasn't put in the position to where I might fail with many of the temptations that are out there and so on. And like I said, homeschooling is not for everybody. Okay. So don't get me wrong there. And I don't want to come across like, man, this is the only way. No, there's going to the Christian school, public school, wherever it is that you go, you've got to, and even homeschooling, you've got to have those guidelines and restrictions because temptation's there. It's there at school. It's there at home. And I look back on my life and I say, man, I thank my parents because I didn't have to make some of those tough decisions that some other young people do that weren't able to be homeschooled and those that aren't. And so parents, that's why it's important, as I mentioned in recent weeks, that's why it's important that parents, you've got to parent because kids put in certain situations, making them make decisions that you know what they're not ready for. They won't know they don't know the ramifications of the decisions that they make and the importance of those decisions. You know what? That's what parents are for. And so whether your kid is homeschooled, goes to public school, private school, Christian, wherever it is, parents need to parent, and you need to be actively involved in your child's life, no matter what it is. Now, as we consider this, and I know this is kind of more for young people in that, but even for adults here, we see that this dad is looking out and he sees a man void of understanding, a man not willing to learn, or maybe not willing to learn, but what hasn't learned. And in verse number 8, we see this: passing through the street near her corner, and he went the way to her house in the twilight, in the evening, in the black and dark night. And so let me just make a few comments about just these couple verses. As we see here, verses 8 and 9, or verse number 7, we see he's void of understanding. He hasn't learned. He's not familiar. He's not aware of the temptation that might be out there and how difficult it is to overcome temptation. That's why parents, you've got to teach and train. Verse number 8, we see that he is wandering. There's no purpose to where he is. Can we put it this way? He's just hanging out. And let me just share this with you. How many of you over the course of your life found yourself making poor decisions and maybe being involved in things you shouldn't have been involved in because you did not have purpose, because you were just hanging out? That's what we find is happening here. He's passing through the street near her corner, and he went the way to her house. Not only was he just hanging out, not having purpose, but you know what? He's going toward sin. And he's putting himself in a place to where the temptation is great. He's wandering close to the harlot's house, to the strange woman's house. Let me tell you something, Christian. If we're going to have victory over sin, we've got to steer clear of the harlot's house. We got to steer clear of the place where sin is prevalent, to where temptation is the greatest. if we're going to continue to wander close to it, guess what? We're going to continue to be tempted by it, and eventually we'll fall to that temptation. And we see this young man, he's passing through the street near her corner, just kind of hanging out. And then he went the way to her house. He was just hanging out, and then he went to her house, the way of it. Now look with me, verse number 9, and we'll close with this verse here. Look at the time of day in which he's doing this. In the twilight, in the evening, in the black and dark night. He knew where he was supposed to be was wrong, or he knew where he was at was wrong. He's there where no one can see, when no one can see him. He's in the dark of night. And you know, the scripture speaks, it just left me. We're lovers of darkness rather than light. I believe it's in First John. And this individual here, this young man, he's wandering. He's in a place that he shouldn't be. He's there at a time he shouldn't be. Let me tell you this. Around our country, there are many, and not just young people, but many individuals who wander around, and I know we've mentioned this, who wander around at dark in the middle of the night, and they just they don't have any purpose. They're wandering around, and then they wonder why it is that they're checked up on. They wonder why maybe the police are out there checking on them, and the list goes on. It's because they're out at a time when they should not be out. They're out at a time when evil is done. Let me tell you something. The chances of the police knocking at your door when you're in your house, spending time with your family, maybe playing a game, watching a movie, maybe whatever it might be, the chances are very slim. But if you're wandering around the town, the city, your neighborhood in the middle of the night, and you have no purpose, guess what? The chances are you're going to get stopped because it is suspicious. This young man, he's in a place he should not be at a time he should not be there, and he's playing with temptation. We see he is void of understanding. Christian, today, with this we'll close. Have purpose to what you do. Have it planned out. Have an accountability partner, somebody that is with you, that you can trust, that will keep you from wandering and keep you from doing things that you should not do. And then be where you're supposed to be. This reminds me a lot of David. You remember David? He was supposed to be to war. He stayed home. He peered out his window and saw Bathsheba bathing on the roof. Where did all of that start? Granted, he obviously had some heart issues, but it started because David was not in the right place, and he found himself in a place of temptation. And so today, listen, I know we're talking about the strange woman and falling to that sin, but temptation here, these couple of verses, we see this young man's void of understanding. He doesn't want to listen to anybody. He thinks he's got it. He thinks he can handle it. He has no purpose. He's just hanging out, just wandering. And then his mind, it's just, there's no purpose to it. So, hey, I'm going to go wander by the strange woman's house. And we see the time of night. He's alone. He's by himself. There's nobody with him. It's in the dark because he doesn't want anybody to know what he's doing. And so let's guard our hearts, guard our minds, and let's strive to have victory over temptation. Don't put yourself in a position to fail. Okay? I'm going to leave you those thoughts for the day. I know we went a little bit long this morning, and I know I got on a little bit late as well, so I apologize for that. Let me give a few shout outs to those who are watching. Once again, thank you so much for being on today, and be sure to like and share and comment as you have opportunity. Don't forget, those of you who signed up, we've got our Christmas party at my house tonight. And that'll be at 6 o'clock. Adults, you need to bring a gift wrapped ornament for an ornament exchange. All our young people, and we'll divide them up, teenagers and kids, but all of our young people need to bring an age-appropriate gift and for a gift exchange as well. Nothing extravagant, something simple maybe, something that maybe tastes good on the palate there, maybe. I don't know. It doesn't have to be too much, just something simple there, okay? Let me give a few shout-outs here, and I'll let you go. Ingrid, good morning to you. Love you. Have a great day today. Those And listen, there's chocolate chip cookies going to be there tonight. They're being made even this morning. I got to sample them. I got to sample one. I said I need just one more to make sure. And man, I was abused and thrown out and mocked by my wife. It was a horrible experience, man. I had to get out of there. No, I'm just kidding about all that. But I didn't get that second cookie. So sad. But anyway, pray for me and my cookie withdrawals. But anyway, good morning, Ingrid. Good morning, Cliff and Karen. Thank you so much for being on. John, greetings to you in Canada. How long are you going to be there? And have a great time. Enjoy time with family there. David, good morning to you. Thank you so much for being on. Gene, have a wonderful day. And Cliff and Karen, I echo that sentiment. The gift of salvation, the greatest gift ever given. Jake, greetings to you from Grayling to Detroit. And yes, I agree. It is better than that state down below, that state, Ohio. Have a safe trip today as you come home even. Brian and Cindy, good morning to you. Hope you have a great day. And Barnett's, have a wonderful day. Thank you so much for being on as well. And for many of you, Lord willing, we'll see you tonight at that Christmas party. For the rest of you, have a wonderful week. And don't forget our services on Sunday as well. All right. Lord bless you all. Have a great weekend. And Lord willing, we'll see you for services on Sunday.